Across the globe lie hundreds of colossal megaliths, stones seemingly carved by an invisible hand or fashioned with long-lost technologies. These titanic blocks whisper of highly advanced civilizations whose names have been erased by time. You are on the FactsRoom channel, and today we will travel to the very heart of modern-day China to open yet another page of history hidden from human eyes. On the outskirts of Nanjing, inside the gigantic Yangshan Quarry, a cluster of archaeological riddles overturns our usual ideas about ancient construction. At the center of the mystery stands a rectangular monolith weighing roughly 16,000 tons, an absolute record among all stones ever consciously hewn by humans. To grasp the scale, the Lebanese megablock in Baalbek, which weighs about 1,200 tons, is 13 times lighter than the Yangshan stone. Even with today's fleets of cranes, dump trucks, and excavators, sawing out, lifting, and transporting such a mass is nearly impossible. So how did craftsmen living thousands of years ago tackle the task? Intriguingly, this colossal block was not alone. Millions of tons of rock have already been removed from the quarry, leaving smooth vertical walls, direct evidence of an effective transport technology. Yet that is not the end of the puzzles. What equipment cut and shaped such a grandiose stone? At the base of the monolith are enormous square sockets, apparently intended for lifting devices or disassembly. The crisp edges of these recesses and the polished planes testify to skills far surpassing those of any known ancient culture. Straight, tidy grooves and the block's vast dimensions hint at a stoneworking technique unavailable to any civilization we have studied. Heavy erosion and weathering imply a venerable age, perhaps far more than the 8,000 years commonly assigned. The whole site once functioned as a single complex. Nearby stand other monolithic structures. One bears perfectly squared niches, hard to believe they were made with bronze tools. Precise right angles and delicate material removal baffle experts, while the most astonishing features are giant ears, or lugs. Such lugs appear on megaliths worldwide. Did proto-engineers share the same knowledge and methods? In Cusco, the former Inca capital in Peru, many stones sport identical ears. On Egypt's Giza Plateau, the Menkaure Pyramid shows the same elements. For a long time, it was thought the lugs served as rope anchors when placing blocks, but given the scale of Yangshan's boulders, the ears may have had an entirely different function. Consider this. Enormous stone blocks occur on several continents, and virtually every project stalled midway and lay untouched for millennia. Why did quarrying cease so abruptly? We have already touched on the giants of Baalbek, the ancient city in Lebanon. The trilithon, 3 colossal stones each weighing roughly 800 tons, forms part of the podium of the Temple of Jupiter. The true age of this platform is shrouded in mystery. Many researchers believe it to be no less than 9,000 years old. Later, Phoenicians, Greeks, and Romans built their temples directly on this foundation, yet none of their projects matches the original masonry in scale or precision. The Baalbek megablocks fit so tightly that not even a knife blade can be inserted between them. In a nearby quarry lies another cyclopean fragment, the stone of the pregnant woman Saman, abandoned for unknown reasons. Remarkably, blocks at Yangshan display exactly the same tool marks found on stones at Baalbek. Parallels extend to Jordan. In ancient Petra, dated several millennia before our era, nearly identical striations appear on sedimentary rock, despite its different composition. Comparing these marks with those left by modern quarry equipment reveals a striking resemblance, as though ancient artisans used machinery akin to ours. Does this mean an advanced technology for large-scale stoneworking and transport truly existed? Egypt adds to the roster of frozen giants. In the Aswan quarry still lies an unfinished obelisk about 40 meters long and weighing some 1,170 tons. Parts of its surface are polished. Clearly the monument was carved from a single granite mass. Another giant remains in the limestone quarry of Minya, Tura. The block is partially detached, its position showing that work halted only when an insoluble transport problem arose. What caused the sudden cessation of such grand projects? Perhaps a catastrophic episode abruptly ended the building. The universal unfinished state of megaliths around the world has spawned a hypothesis of a global, ancient cataclysm. In 1992, in a tiny farming village of Zhejiang province in eastern China, an event occurred that shook local historical perceptions. Beneath the picturesque banks of the Q River lay an incredible enigma. A modest hill, long part of the rural landscape, was riddled with ponds, many perfectly rectangular, instantly suggesting artificial origin. These pools never dried up. Villagers used them routinely, for the water remained even during drought. Thus, they were dubbed bottomless ponds, and generations grew up beside the mystery, finding no family legends or elders' tales to hint when or why the ponds appeared. The name bottomless proved apt. No one ever found the bottom. For years, people lowered long bamboo poles yet felt no floor, gauging depth only by the fish size inhabiting the waters. In the summer of 1992, the veil lifted. One resident hauled out a giant fish weighing about 13 kilograms. The catch raised questions. What space allowed the fish to grow so large? Known for curiosity, the villager had often tried to measure the pond's depth. Inspired by his trophy, he resolved to uncover what lay beneath and planned a radical step, draining one bottomless pond. Convincing 3 villagers to join, he bought a water pump and began a project challenging centuries of lore. On the 9th of June, 1992, the intrepid quartet started, working day and night. After 5 days of non-stop pumping, the water receded enough to reveal a stone staircase descending downward. The discovery stunned them. Clearly the pond was no natural feature. Realizing the find's significance, they increased pumping power, buying 4 more pumps. Over the next 17 days, the water dropped slowly, but inexorably, until the vast scale of an underground structure emerged. When the final trickles vanished, the villagers stood at the entrance of a huge man-made cavern. The pond, that had supplied water for generations, proved to be a light shaft, a kind of hatch in the ceiling of a colossal, ancient subterranean complex. The news entirely reshaped locals' understanding of their land, its past, and its meaning. Beneath the hill lay an architectural phenomenon soon named the Longyu Caves. 24 caves were identified, 14 already collapsed. The surviving chambers astonished, perfectly flat floors and vaulted ceilings, sloping precisely 45 degrees. Though halls lacked connecting passages, their bottoms lay in one plane, with only 50 centimeters between adjacent voids. How could such precision be achieved? Each cave plunged deep into hard rock, and the volume of excavation implied incredible organizational skills. The walls were mirror smooth, angles cut exactly 90 degrees, material removed with care, impossible by technologies official history attributes to ancient China. The layout seemed functional. Channels and basins inside testified to hydraulic knowledge and water management skills. Despite great age, the caves have endured centuries intact. Vaults remain sound. Inside lies almost no debris. Curiosity burned brighter. What was the purpose of so grand a structure, and who realized such an idea? Lighting posed a further riddle. No trace of soot appears on walls or ceilings, meaning construction used a lighting method that left no burn marks. What method remains unknown. Each cave chamber covers on average about 1,000 square meters and rises as high as a standard 10-story building. Summing their areas yields a mass comparable to roughly 3.5 city blocks. Specialists estimated that without advanced mechanisms, mere removal of rock would require centuries, not counting fine finishing. Yet the interior walls are richly adorned with carved ornament. Such magnitude suggests financing at the scale of an empire, yet Chinese chronicles, renowned for meticulous record-keeping, contain not a single line hinting at such construction. The most intriguing details are identical grooves covering the walls. Cut at exactly 60 degrees, repeated with stunning regularity, they appear absolutely uniform. Researchers noted these marks perfectly resemble the trace left by modern drilling equipment. The similarity is so striking, one must ask whether the ancient masters possessed technologies comparable to ours. Another sharp puzzle arises. To carve such enormous cavities, millions of cubic meters of rock had to be removed. Given sandstone's average density of about 3 tons per cubic meter, the extracted mass would total millions of tons. One would expect gigantic spoil heaps like those at any quarry. Yet archaeologists combed the surroundings and found not a single trace of waste rock. Perhaps most perplexing, around the caves no mention of builders, no remains of dwellings, cemeteries, or specialized workshops have surfaced. It is as if the project materialized in a vacuum. Only the perfectly carved halls remain, while all other material and historical packaging vanished without a trace. The 24 Longyu caves are only a drop in the ocean. Thousands of similar underground structures across China display signs of advanced technology. Travel roughly 100 miles, about 150 kilometers northward, and you reach the Huashan Grottos near the Yellow River. There, 36 caves hide, each a model of pristine geometry and craftsmanship that echoes Longyu. Huashan's halls awe with architectural sweep. Spacious chambers flow into winding corridors, their walls covered in meticulous relief. As with Longyu, the scale overwhelms, but the greatest enigma is the total absence of spoil heaps. Calculations show that carving such grottos would require removing tens of thousands of cubic meters of rock, demanding coordinated labor and deep engineering knowledge. Yet no hint of the excavated material exists nearby. The next stop on China's map of mysteries, where the same grooves like modern drilling marks are clearly visible, is the Heijin Mountain Fortress. Perched on a steep slope and shielded by deep gorges, it remains almost invisible to the untrained eye. Even local villagers know very little about it. Only thanks to an 80-year-old elder familiar with the terrain was light shed on the fortification's layout and true import. He pointed out hidden paths leading to it. Once visitors entered, they saw something resembling an ancient ark. Cave dwellings once lined the sides, but over time they collapsed, leaving a level terrace and imposing gates. The first historical hypothesis claimed simple farmers, lacking other defenses, built the fortress as shelter from raiders. Yet this theory clashes with specific features. One need only glance at the colossal doorway, 9 meters high, visible from afar. The scale and intricacy of the stonework clearly exceed a primitive refuge. As with other cave complexes, the fortress did not form naturally. Its contours are painstakingly cut in bedrock by the same still unexplained technology. Number 1. Among China's most enigmatic sites, the Guyaju Caves hold a special place, the country's largest rock-cut dwellings. The gigantic labyrinth of 117 caves with 350 chambers became known only in 1984. The complex sprawls about 50 miles northwest of Beijing, covers roughly 100,000 square meters, and stands as a monumental reminder of ancient ingenuity. All chambers are hewn entirely from monolithic granite, revealing high technical skill and builders' persistence. Familiar markings appear again, the same as on other megalithic objects. Mystery deepens, with the total absence of archaeological finds or written sources. No dates, legends, or artifacts illuminate the wonder's origin. Rooms reminiscent of honeycombs vary in shape, square, rectangular, and round, with some combined into multi-level sections of one or more chambers. Such architectural methods echo cave dwellings in Turkey, Italy, and Spain. Inside, everything is carved from rock. Door and window openings, hearths, double beds, smoke channels, niche shelves, lamp pedestals. Stone stairways, bridges and ladders link levels, and gutters on roofs collect rainwater. Especially notable is the well-thought-out drainage system, showing builders understood ecology and sustainable living. Chamber layouts are densely packed, resembling modern multi-story housing, and the ensemble evokes cluster development. A central jewel is the Guantangzi, known as the Golden Hall. This edifice unites 8 halls on 2 floors, adorned with finely cut columns, a large stone bed, and solid stone furniture. Researchers suggest it could have housed either the community leader's residence or a sanctuary. More than 3 decades have passed since discovery. The complex is protected and studied, yet questions about construction time, purpose, and the Guyaju inhabitants' fate remain unanswered. Given the scale of all these stone giants, one can easily imagine that a forgotten culture once thrived on Chinese soil thousands of years ago. Surely some clues must have survived. Indeed, in 1986, builders in Guang'an City stumbled upon a discovery that may confirm the hypothesis of a mysterious civilization. An excavator bucket uncovered 2 sacrificial pits, sparking a breakthrough in China's ancient history. From the earthen repositories emerged hundreds of artifacts: bronze and gold masks, statues, figurines, and delicate marble and jade items. Scholars dated the finds to between 3,000 and 5,000 years ago, an era when Sumer and ancient Egypt already flourished in the Near East. The newly found culture was named Sanxingdui, 3 star mounds on the ruins. To date, about 13,000 objects have been excavated. More than 1,200 bronzes, 543 gold items, and 565 jade relics. Highlights include a bronze chest-like turtle with a lid, embellished with dragon head handles and hanging bronze ribbons, a bronze ritual altar, an expressive mask, and a figure of a snake man. Truly gigantic pieces also impress. A bronze mask about 1.5 meters wide and 75 centimeters high, plus a bronze statue over 2.5 meters tall. Cylindrical sockets remain in its palms. Clearly, the figure once held something. All the heads display disproportionately large eyes and ears. Some specialists even doubt the people belong to the familiar Chinese cultural line. Such artifacts had not appeared here before. Masks and sculptures are unusual not only in facial features, but also in technical execution. The casting level required advanced metallurgy, astonishing for a society of 5 millennia ago. Complications arise from many items' condition. They are damaged and burnt. Were the relics deliberately broken, burned, and ritually buried? Or did the Sanxingdui people perish in a catastrophe, leaving only partially intact objects? Whoever created these wonders, their sudden disappearance remains one of history's most intriguing riddles. Among all the listed marvels, the most impressive enigma remains the pyramids scattered across China's central plains and deserts, chiefly in Shanxi province. They hid from the public for centuries and are still virtually unknown worldwide. Chinese authorities imposed a strict moratorium. Any excavation and even casual visits are forbidden. Farmers whose fields lie nearby must plant trees on the pyramid slopes to camouflage the structures. More than 200 pyramids are now known, each confounding scholars regarding purpose and origin, especially given official barriers to research. The first Western mention dates to 1912, but true interest flared only mid-20th century. During World War II, American pilot James Gaussman flew over the region and photographed several pyramids. Only with satellite imagery did their number and size become clear. Like pyramids elsewhere, the Chinese structures are aligned to the cardinal points with astonishing precision. Moreover, they are slightly offset relative to the constellation Gemini. At the spring equinox many thousands of years ago, the axes formed a straight line with the stars. Today's 14-degree deviation is explained by precession of Earth's axis, whose full cycle spans about 25,700 years. This suggests the pyramids may be tens of thousands of years old. Striking parallels arise when comparing layouts. The pyramid arrangements of Teotihuacan in Mexico, the Giza complex in Egypt, and the Xi'an Shangxi group are nearly identical and resemble the pattern of Orion's belt. All three lie roughly on the same latitude and almost on a straight line, too exact a match to ignore. In the same Shanxi Valley towers the Great White Pyramid, perhaps the planet's largest. Its height reaches 300 meters, double that of the Great Pyramid of Khufu. Construction would require at least 50 million tons of stone. Some researchers believe material extracted from numerous underground complexes, including Yangshan's giant blocks, was transported there. China's most extensive cultic burial, the Terracotta Army, sits at the foot of another enormous pyramid that remains unopened. Farmers discovered the army by accident in 1974 while digging a well. The necropolis's scale astonishes. More than 8,000 clay warriors, chariots, horses, officials, acrobats, strong men, and musicians, each with unique facial features. The statues are life-size and were originally brightly painted, though most pigment has flaked away. This formation represents only part of a gigantic underground city modeled on the then capital. It was meant to guard in the afterlife the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, who unified China's warring states and introduced standardized monetary, legal, and measurement systems. Construction of the four-level ensemble is thought to have taken several decades, with about 700,000 artisans working. At the complex's center rises the emperor's burial mound, a pyramid archaeologists avoid opening because of high mercury content. It supposedly contains a miniature model of the realm, the ceiling painted as a night sky with pearls for stars and liquid mercury flowing in river-like channels. Chronicles also mention elaborate traps intended to strike any intruder, like a scene from a Tomb Raider film. References to Chinese pyramids reach at least the early 17th century. Some early Western descriptions came from a Roman Jesuit whose notes survive in various chronicles. A major contribution was made by French sinologist Joseph de Guignes. In 1785, he published an essay proving that the Chinese are an Egyptian colony, where, citing pyramid-like structures and cultural and linguistic parallels, he proposed a daring hypothesis of an ancient China-Egypt link. Thus, the mystery of China's pyramids roots itself in a distant past, entwining underground cities, gigantic stone blocks, and mystical necropolises that stubbornly guard the secrets of civilizations whose names remain unspoken. Observing these ancient stone titans, one notices that their appearance evokes not only the Nile Valley pyramids, but also South American megaliths. A vivid example is the Guanshan Sanctuary in Henan Province. Today, the site is revered as a memorial temple, yet several complex wings, judging by architecture and stone wear, seem far older than the official dating. Most likely, ancient Chinese simply adapted an existing megalith into a tomb, much as Egyptians reused earlier heritage. We have already seen that these stone giants are far too perfect for mere bronze tools and the known engineering level of their time. Guanshan is foremost famous for the funerary ensemble of Guan Yu, a legendary general, hero of folk epic and historical chronicles. Another tomb attributed to the general lies in Jian City, Jilin Province, and forms part of the Goguryeo burial complex. However, the pyramidal structure itself, according to archaeologists, may be thousands of years older than the Goguryeo kingdom. The state merely used a ready-made edifice, not built it. This tomb's shape is unique for East Asia, a stepped pyramid with a massive base narrowing upward. The silhouette sharply differs from the round tumuli common in China and Korea, and strikingly recalls Mesoamerican pyramids of the Aztecs and Maya. Such parallels intrigue, for both civilizations are thought to have developed separately on opposite sides of the planet. The resemblance extends beyond outward form. It includes similar stone-laying methods, precise orientation to cardinal points and celestial objects, alignment with significant astronomical dates, and the characteristic multi-tiered terraced design, traits uniting pyramids across continents. All this prompts speculation. Did a global exchange of engineering knowledge once exist, or do these majestic structures share a common, still hidden architectural lineage? Notably, peoples around the world preserve similar tales about mysterious beings, teachers who bestowed advanced skills on their ancestors, launching civilizations' rise. Mesopotamia. Sumerian Akkadian myth speaks of the Apkallu, 7 sages sent by the god Enki. From them, humanity supposedly received writing, laws, temple construction, and agriculture. Mesoamerica. For Aztecs and Toltecs, the central figure is the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl, credited with introducing the calendar, teaching metalworking, and cultivating maize, core technologies that let local society leap forward. Egypt. The god scribe Thoth fulfills a similar role. Legends say he gifted hieroglyphic writing and many other sciences to the Egyptians, sharply accelerating cultural development. British author and journalist Graham Hancock, who has published more than 10 books and produced 2 documentaries, hypothesized that these beings were survivors of a highly advanced civilization destroyed by a global cataclysm. Scattered across the planet, they shared accumulated knowledge with primitive hunter-gatherers. China. In native mythology, the analogous figure is the Yellow Emperor Huangdi, revered as progenitor of Chinese culture. He is credited with an extraordinarily broad range of innovations, founding traditional medicine, including acupuncture, building wooden houses, introducing bows and arrows, minting bronze coins, and creating writing. Comparing Huangdi to the other culture heroes, a common pattern emerges. All these characters, regardless of region, allegedly brought key technological and social advances to humanity. This suggests the enormous megastructures found throughout China could indeed be the legacy of a much older and more advanced people. This civilization, vanished from historical memory for reasons unknown, still does not appear in academic textbooks, and its true story remains irretrievably lost. What exactly this culture was remains an unsolved secret. If you are fascinated by ancient advanced technologies and large-scale stone structures, explore our other documentary series, where we examine various sites and artifacts in depth. If you found this episode interesting and would like a follow-up, let us know in the comments and support us with a like. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new investigations, and in the meantime, you can watch previously published material. Thank you for being with us.